You can pay all the attention you want to the news. I think the psychology behind the news is more important. The news is one thing. The news is okay. That's fascinating. The psychology behind the news is more important. Believe me when I tell you that. All of a sudden, there's this coast is clear thing. For some reason, the Congress and the news are saying, "Hey, I think these CDC people were lying. I think we didn't know the truth about what was going on regarding COVID. I think the COVID realities and the enforced official narrative, reimagined and revisited, is we were wrong." And everybody who said everybody who said what they said before, all of these folks, all of these people, all of them are now in the position of saying, well, we made a mistake. We were wrong. We were wrong. But what about all the people who were sidelined and deplatformed and shelved? Oh, well. What about all the people who just never were heard from again? They were disappeared. Oh, well. Growing up Catholic or being a retired Catholic, all of a sudden they changed this rule regarding meat on Friday. And I always wondered, like George Carlin said, what about people who did 5 to 10 of the meat wrap? What about them? What happened to them? I don't know. What about that? What about limbo? When I was a kid in the Catholic school, Catholic church, we learned there was a thing called limbo where unbaptized babies went. Then they stopped it. They said, well, there's no limbo. Excuse me, you said there was. What happened? Where were those? Are they now with? So were they with God the whole time? Because the whole thing is they never could see God. And as one priest told me, it's like a bucket full of water and a thimble full of water. They're both full, but one has more. And I thought, this is the most unfair thing in the world. God wouldn't allow this. And then they said, okay, never mind. We made a mistake. So that's where we are right now. And it's that psychology. So what you hear today about 9/11, JFK, geoengineering, whatever, frog, gay frogs, Bilderberg, well, that was, name it. One day it's all going to switch and go, you know what? Never mind. You were right the whole time. My favorite story was the one that nobody believed regarding how China said that anal swabs were the best way. And when I said this, people started laughing because it dealt with the term anal and they didn't pay attention. It's like, no, this is in the news. Of course, nobody reads the news. They just kind of sit back and wait for, Fredo or somebody to tell you the news, which of course they're not. So there's a lot to go through today. I mean, get ready. I mean, seriously, get ready. But before we begin, I ask you, my friends, to please, first and foremost, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Can't say that enough. Subscribe to this channel because I get news from people that say, hey, I'm unsubscribed. So please make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you remain a part of this thing of ours. Make sure you hit that little bell so you're notified of live streams and new videos. And before we begin, this critical word from this most important and beloved sponsor. My friends, gold has been on an unstoppable run. It's gone up more than 81% in the last 5 years and almost 20% in the last 12 months. And it's happening and happening now. Central banks are ditching the dollar and U.S. treasuries are buying more gold. And the good news, it's predicted to go up even more. It's true. UBS even said it would go up to $5,000. Noble Gold Investments phone has been ringing nonstop off the hook. Everyone wants to protect their retirement with gold, and you can do the same. Noble Gold Investments can help you secure some gold to protect your future. From day one, you work with the same dedicated all-American expert. Whether you're a beginner or an experienced investor, Noble Gold Investments will make sure you get all the help you need. And this month, Noble Gold Investments will give you a free 1/4 ounce gold standard coin if you open a qualified account. So go to LionelNationGold.com right now. LionelNationGold.com. LionelNationGold.com. And remember, there's always a risk of investment and there's no guarantee of any kind. Now, a couple of things we need to review and go over. First of all, we'll get to the swab thing in a minute. For those of you who are Lionel Nation members, specifically who are, I have a piece on Tiffany Henard, which will be dropping later, but everybody who signs up first gets to see it now, and it is available now. When I tell people the story, I will say, do you understand what is significant about Tiffany Henard? And they'll say, not really. I say, no, you don't. It's one of the most important stories there is. And it's almost like mythology. It's almost about, it's beyond anything I've ever seen at this level. Truly. I mean, it is truly, truly, truly fascinating. I mean it. I can't say it enough. And what's even more interesting, I wish I could say this, is that when you see the story, you're missing what has happened. It is the absolute best and incredible story about, and this is the psychology, what could very well be called psychopathology. A detached disconnect from what I think most people would call a kind of a disconnect from reality. Absolutely. A disconnect from reality. Because she lives, and this is, it's like, remember the song Angie Baby, living in a world of make-believe. She lives in a world that doesn't exist. She lives in a world, and this is important, she lives in a world inside her screen. She's inside her screen. Do you see what I'm saying? Inside her little phone, where she lives, she wants to be an influencer. And she does not understand that she is not an influencer. She doesn't, how do I say this? She doesn't understand it. She's the mayor and the town supervisor of Thornton. And she doesn't care. She is going to end up, if she is not indicted ultimately for the biggest corruption ever. And what she does is, this is so interesting. You realize, oh my God. When you see her, people say, oh God. And white people get very nervous because they, ooh, what's the matter? Well, no, excuse me. You're a racist. If this were Hunter Biden, you'd be all over this. If this were Hunter Biden, if this were, if Saturday Night Live would make fun of John Kennedy, wait, John, I mean, how can you not miss this? This woman is monosyllabic. She is a cretin. I've never heard, I have never, well, we've heard all kinds, and I love the English of accents from the Appalachians to Justin Wilson. I guarantee, I love this. But when you're a mayor, you normally don't, you normally don't hear this. And if you say this about her, you will say you are a racist. It's the weirdest thing. If I had my way, I would go into schools and I'm going to say, we're going to teach you a couple of things. Men in particular, we're going to show you how to shake hands and look people in the eye. I want you to learn how to shake hands. We're not going to do this weird shoulder. I don't know what this is. What is this? We're not going to lean in. We're not going to do that. You're going to be somebody, if you're trying to get a loan, you're going to be the bank officer, some 50-year-old guy from a bank, some white guy, and you're not going to lean in. You're not going to pump fists. You're not going to do. In the old days, you probably don't remember this, but in the 70s, there was the right-on handshake, which is always fun. The right on, and you always know, do I catch you in the right arm, the right arm? Okay. Next, we're going to show people how to go, and we're going to teach people in particular how to eat. How to eat. There are a few things in life, and this is where Americans, this is where the British in particular, and Europeans just have us, they eat so civilized. For some reason, it would be like if Americans blew their nose in their hands or something like that. And you say, but everybody does that. No, it's wrong. This is something which is incredible here. This is something which blows me away. Blows me away. When I go to a restaurant and I see people eat like this, with that, the finger on top. I don't know where this got, like Pablo Cal. I don't know where this happened. I don't know when it happened. I don't know what I don't remember any of this in my life. But for some reason, we just blinked and everybody is eating meat and cutting like Friar Tuck or like they're stabbing something. They don't do the beautiful. Watch Gordon Ramsay eat the most beautiful thing in the world. That's number 2. And number 3, I would say, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to listen to me. And I want you to listen to what I'm saying. And I want you to not ask any questions. Better yet, do not ask any questions. Because it is that simple. From now on, you are never going to use the word ask as ask. As soon as you say that, you've sent the signal to the world that, okay, all right. Think I'm exaggerating? Think I'm making this up? Think I'm what? What? Think I'm exaggerating? You think I'm exaggerating? You think this is crazy talk? You think this is lunacy talk? Is that what you think? It's okay if you do. It's okay. That's all right. I don't blame you. Do you think I'm just not getting it? Do you think, oh, come on, that's it? No. Do you really think I'm making too much out of it? Do you really think I'm making too much out of it? Because if you do, you don't understand it. I will never understand this. If you can decide to wear a particular style, if you can use a particular phrase, if you can all of a sudden say everywhere, I was doing something the other day, I'm texting back and forth, nobody texts, nobody talks, nobody whatever, and I'm getting no worries. Thank you, no worries. I don't know where no worries came from. I don't know at what point. Was it last year, 2 years ago? I don't know when this happened. I don't know when this happened. I don't know when no worries became a part of our world. But just as easy as it can be, and no problem was preceded that. But out of that lunacy comes the idea of no worries. So if you can say that, if all of a sudden, bro and bruh, but bro, watch any arrest video. Come on, bro. Hey, bro. Sammy the Bull says, bro. There's a show where bro, I don't know, overnight. Fine. Listen, that's the way it is. I remember Groovy and I remember Ride On and all that other stuff. But from now on, lose the word axe. We're going to have, if we have to give you shock treatment, the moment you say that, you're signaling to the world, okay, all right. Everything you've done. And by the way, here in New York, believe it or not, you go uptown, white, black, Hispanic, everybody, it's really a New York thing. Just like sandwich. Sandwich is a big deal too. I don't know why. But that's it. When you don't know how not to go either, as some people say, and I don't think it's the word ghetto, but you can't go ghetto, you can't go street, you can't go wise guy, you can't go, hey, forget about it, hey, you can't, you have no idea. Same thing. Once you do that, If Samuel Alito said, and as far as I'm concerned, hey, forget about it. No. This is something that as long as I live, I'm going to say it's so simple. It's so simple. Everything you do, you just ruined it. You just ruined it. I had to tell somebody one time years ago, I said, you cannot leave the label of your jacket on your sleeve unless you're going to take this thing back. What do you mean? I said, you don't leave your label of your jacket, your suit on the cuff. You just don't. He had no idea. I said, this tells the world you're a rube. It's not simple. It's that simple. Okay. And that's kind of who we are. That's this word. So I've got this. I'm telling you, the best story is Tiffany A. Henard. There is nothing like this. This is a child. There is nobody ever. Not that I mean there are people I've seen before, but as a mayor who makes $300,000 a year, who's going to get indicted and doesn't care, and basically as tree cutting scams, you have no. If you just truly in love a great story, Tiffany A. Henard is that. Next, I want to say something which I said the other day, and people look at me like, oh my God, it's the God's honest truth. I am a behavioral realist. We do things. There are differences between men and women and cultures. In Japan, if you talk on a subway out loud, they go ape shit. If you walk down the street eating something, they go bananas. They're more cultured. I like that. They'll look at you like you are what? Who's guy's walking the street eating pizza? You're eating? You pull over to the side and you what? Somebody in Japan told me one time they cannot understand the fact that we would take a handkerchief or something, blow our nose in it, and put it back in our pocket. They can't understand this. And if you think about it, it kind of makes sense. But there was something that I saw the other day, which is interesting, and nobody will ever grasp the idea because they don't want to believe it, but it's true. When you see Marjorie Taylor Greene, AOC, and Jasmine Crockett together, this is to call it a cat fight meets the book. This is pure, unbridled hate. Hate. There is no interpersonal hate that exists that is nonviolent for the most part. I mean, there's exceptions, but for the most part, maybe YouTube or TikTok or Instagram, whatever, notwithstanding. But normally it's not physical. But there is no hate like a woman's hate to another woman, roughly contemporary, and they can't hold back. Now I'm going to say something which is very interesting. When you watch the classic days of the debates between Gore Vidal and William F. Buckley, okay? They hated each other at a level that is inexplicable. They hated each other at a level it was real. And if I watch this is Hedda Hopper, Luella Parsons. There were these classic hatred, and one of the reasons why it was never talked about was that, as you know, Gore Vidal was a gay man, but he called it homosexual, and he didn't really talk about. He was never came up, but he was, and it was. But he was also got into a fight with William F. Buckley. And for the longest time, Gore Vidal always suspected that William F. Buckley was himself closeted. I don't know if this is true. Doesn't matter. Let's get it all that way. It doesn't matter. Nobody cared. Okay, good. Now we got that out of the way. And what's interesting to note is that it was almost like two hens. I know this is terrible to say this. Men go in there and they get mad. They might fight. They might punch. It's a kind of a Neanderthal form of anger. It's not like that of women. It is Marjorie Taylor Greene hates AOC. And AOC hates her. Has nothing to do with political ideology. Nothing. Lauren Boebert's nowhere to be found. And enter the fray Jasmine Crockett. And we have, this is a crossfire. This is a turkey shoot. This is a brutal exercise in harridans baring their teeth. Now, when you say this, women go nuts when you say this. Why? What did I tell you? You only catch flack when you're over the target. If something is just absurd and there's no basis for it, they don't even get mad. It's when you remind them of something. It's when you say, you know what, he's right. That's when they get mad. Watch this again. That's what this story is about. It's not about politics. It's not, they missed the point. Because in all of this talk about gender this and gender that, it's not about that. It's about something else. Okay? Now, let me see if I can explain this to you. Let me see if we can put this into perspective. Okay? Let me see if we can put this into perspective. It's fascinating to see what is happening here. Brad Runge says, I cannot stop laughing from yesterday. Well, thank you. It's unreal. Please, later on, you got to see my Tiffany Henard, this compilation, and there is a Fox 32 documentary that is just, your jaw will drop. You've never seen anything like this in your life. Never. And it's the hardest time to get her bounced. And it's not a race. You got black folks who are screaming as they get rid of her. See, this race thing, we are fascinated by race. We love to say we get it wrong when people are equal. Yes, we're equal in terms of opportunity. Yes, we should be. Yes, in terms of the laws and the whatever. Yes. But if you think growing up black, growing up white, growing up Italian American, growing up Greek, if you think these mean nothing, if you think we live in a homogenized world with no influence, no cultural phrases, no nothing. Remember my big fat Greek wedding? I love that because I didn't know that much about Greeks. I don't know, it's not real, but I never thought about that. Brad Orunge, Dabney Coleman, yes. Dabney Coleman was superior. I loved Buffalo Bill. Dabney Coleman in the best movie ever, best chase scenes, a show called Short Time. Please watch that. Short Time. Best chase scene makes French Connection look like nothing. Absolutely. And Buffalo Bill, and I said that, and 9 to 5, he was superb. Absolutely superb. A great, great actor. Now, moving on along. This is the part that nobody would ever say. Ever. And let me tell you this much. This is the part that gets me. Go back to Tiffany Henard. Tiffany Henard lives in her world. I had somebody the other day. This is a while back. And I looked, and there was a person, a woman, who put a picture up of a filter. I did not recognize her. She must have lost like 75 pounds. Facial. And somebody said, oh, yeah, that's a filter. And I said, woman, do you see what's happening right now? Of course, nobody did. I said, this person does not look like that. No, it's a filter. I said, no. It's not a filter. It's like, you want me to see you like this. And you think, since reality is it only exists within the four corners of the screen of your particular, whatever this thing is, that as long as it looks okay there, that's all that counts. That is the reality. That is where things happen. That is what's important. Let me try this again. If you've ever been on TV or whatever, and people now do it, you have a green screen. And the green screen behind you is, people do it sometimes, they'll have a blurred background, which I kind of like, or they will have a kind of a fake background of an office or whatever. And as long as you see that in the final product, either in the Zoom call, that's all that matters. That's the reality. That is the reality. Do you hear this? Do you hear this? That's the reality. That is the reality. These people do not exist except in the world that they portray. Don't worry about losing weight. Don't worry about aging. Don't worry about your hair color or anything. We're going to green screen it, because the reality where you exist is not in the here and now. It's on the screen. It's in social media. That's where you exist. That's where you live. You don't live here. You live in social media. Now, when I tell people this, like, they don't get it. I said, do you know what it is for you to put a picture of somebody where you don't even look like that? And I'm not talking about, well, kind of smooth things out. I want you to understand something. If you don't, you're missing the point. We have gone through a reality shift. Our perception of reality has changed drastically with the advent of social media. It's not just an exaggeration. It's not just me I'm telling you, we live in a world that we never knew before. Never. It's the most fascinating thing I've ever seen. Brad Runge, by the way, Brad, give us a pronunciation of your name. The man convicted of attempting to kidnap Nancy Pelosi and attacking the husband with a hammer was sentenced to 30 years in prison. Jacqueline Scott Corley handed down the sentence for David DePage. Well, thank you, Brad. And I surprised anybody ever goes to prison anymore. I don't believe the story. I think that Mr. Pelosi probably has another life, another world, another perspective, another reality that does not necessarily comport with the visual version of this. Remember his DUI and all that kind of stuff. The whole story didn't make any sense. You show up, is everybody okay? Yeah, it's fine. The cops are there. You think somebody say, hey, look, thank God this guy took me hostage. Please arrest him. He's got a hammer. Beat me up. I mean, doesn't that make sense to you? Remember, never lose your sense of instincts. Never, ever do this. Never, ever lose. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day. We're doing a talk radio show. I said, does anybody believe here that changing the subject, that Donald Trump did not have sex with Stormy Daniels? Anybody? Does anybody not think they had sex? That Stormy Daniels is making it up. It never happened. Never went to the hotel. Never went to nothing about the Old Spice. Or does anybody really believe that? Does anybody really believe that? Do you really think? Do you think that Donald Trump is going to pay a woman he never had sex with $130? Well, just make her go away. You know how many people claim, well, I had sex with him too. Nah, it never happened. Donald Trump's going to pay her 130, 150. Another one. Somebody named Ramona Lipschitz. Okay, pay her $120. If Donald Trump didn't have sex with her, do you really think he would pay her $130? Forget the do not non-disclosure. I mean, seriously, do you really? By the way, he's not a germaphobe at all. That's ridiculous. He shakes hands. No. Now, I mean, he may be a little bit care, but believe me, this germaphobe has nothing to do with having sex. Now, somebody says, I don't really care. You better care, because the case that he is asked, now think about this, the case that he is on trial for, the case that he's looking at 136 years, if they were to really string it out, is based upon an NDA. And the NDA is based on her basically not saying they had sex. Now, I know you don't care. I know nobody doesn't care and all that kind of stuff. Do you think Donald Trump is going to pay a woman money to go away, to shut up? Do you think so? Do you really think so? No way. No. It's ridiculous. Do you know how many women claim, well, people he knows, well, I work with him. Well, I was a PA on the Faye says there's no physical evidence he did it. There's never physical evidence he did it. There's never physical evidence he did it. Never. What do you mean? There's never evidence. I mean, I'm not saying it matters. I mean, for me personally. But there's no evidence. She's not going to the hospital. There's no dress. There's no stain. Nothing. And people will fight me on it. They go, it doesn't really matter. Well, it doesn't matter. I don't care. I didn't ask you whether you care. Well, it doesn't matter to me. No. Do you think it's likely? Because remember, had he said, yeah, I had sex, or she was up there, whatever it was, she would have never taken the stand. You know why she took the stand, right? Because he said, I never had sex. She's a liar. And she brought the defamation and whatever. But the point is that she would have never taken the stand. Why is he? It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. Just say it. What do you care? McDougal, this one. Does anybody think that he's maintains the integrity of his marriage? I'm like, come on, does it matter? I don't care. Why is he lying about that? But how people will feel, well, I don't care about that. I didn't ask you whether you cared about that. Do you really think she just made this up? None of this happened. He never had sex with her. He paid her $130,000, went through all this stuff with this lawyer and that lawyer. They told Cohen because of a woman. Do you know how many women, like I said, a PA on The Apprentice, the girl who used to do his makeup, somebody he met, somebody at Mar-a-Lago, somebody who maybe says, there was some time. Okay. And once the word gets out, he'll pay you. It's just like Fox News has a reputation of settling everything. You really think so? You're out of your mind. You're out of your mind if you don't think so. It's ridiculous. It's the most stupid thing in the world. Who cares? There would be no Stormy Daniels on the stand. Just admit, just stipulate. What are you doing? What the hell's the problem with this? Because you're not going to take the stand. You're not going to refute it. Then she comes on and says all these terrible things. And it would also cut down tremendously Michael Cohen's testimony. See, I don't think people really understand. I think they get so defensive about Trump. They don't really listen to what I'm saying. I want him to be successful. But you have to realize, well, I was stupid. You have to be able to say things. I was stupid. Why is he doing that? Now, the good news is he's going to win. He's going to win. And unless there's something we don't know about, here in Manhattan, around the Bronx, they're going to have these big armadas. They're going to have these huge Trump boat things. It's going to be absolutely wonderful. But I don't understand. It'd be great if there would have been no Stormy Daniels. Because let me tell you something. And I want you to listen to me. The first thing that jury is going to say, what do you think? Is going to say, hey, do you think they had sex? Did they have sex? But you're going to say, well, that doesn't matter. They're going to talk about it. Why? Because she was on the stand. The jury can say whatever they want. They're going to start off with that. Do you think he had sex? Do you think he's lying? Who had sex? You think somebody's going to be, the lawyers involved are going to have the wherewithal to say, now, listen, that really doesn't have anything to do with this. Do you really think that? Do you really think that? No, of course not. Absolutely not. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. And you paid her $135,000. You never had sex with her? Never. Hey, guess what? Send the word out. I don't believe that for a moment. It doesn't matter. I don't really care. But why would you do that? This case would be over in 5 minutes if there wasn't Stormy Daniels. And Stormy Daniels could have actually hurt him, because you never know how these crazy jurors can somehow listen to him and listen to her and feel kind of, I don't know, some weird simpatico. All right, dear friends, stand by. Don't ever move. Don't move. Don't do anything at all differently. Do not move. Do not move. Because right now we have a great and a very critical piece of information from our great sponsors at preparewithlionel.com. It's no longer a question of if something catastrophic is coming, it's when. And while you still have some control, what are you going to do about it now to prepare? Well, your first step is going to my website, preparewithlionel.com. And for a limited time, take $200 off a 3-month emergency food supply. My Patriot Supply is equipped to help you and your family to prepare. They've helped over 2 million families already. These 3-month kits with ready hour foods provide over 2,000 calories every day with 22 varieties and a 25-year shelf life. Breakfast, lunches, dinners, drinks, snacks, everything. And they're sealed inside 6 rugged waterproof buckets, and they're over 120 pounds of food. So take advantage right now and go to preparewithlionel.com, preparewithlionel.com. One more time, preparewithlionel.com. Okay, my friends. Now, like I said, when you talk to people about certain things, the issue is, and some people just cannot, they have no objectivity regarding Trump. They just love him so much, and they say, oh, he does nothing wrong. He's a genius. Well, maybe he's a genius, but sometimes he doesn't exhibit that. Now, the thing that I don't understand right now, this is the most important thing in the world. When all of this COVID stuff happened, I remember so well. There was a story about the anal swabs. Now, I used to always tell people, the anal swabs are the way to go. The anal swabs is the way to go, because I got to tell you something. Chinese have for the longest time suggested that this might be the best way to, the best way to test and detect. Remember that one? In fact, it was the most important story ever. And when I told people, they thought I was kidding, because they have the mentality of a child. And in 2021, this was from Very Well Health. It says, we've all become familiar with the traditional nose and throat swab associated with COVID-19 testing. Some scientists are looking at a test option with potentially increased accuracy. Reports have surfaced of a new, although controversial, diagnostic test administered in China, anal swabs. Anal swabs work by inserting a cotton-tip swab about 1 to 2 inches into the rectum. Rectum damn near killed him. Remember that, Joe? Which is then sent to a lab to be tested for the virus. These swabs analyze in the same way that PCR, the polymerase chain reaction, COVID-19 tests, PCRs have been done. COVID-19 has been known to use a range of gastrointestinal issues to cause them, GI issues, such as vomiting, nausea, and diarrhea. And the CDC say that genetic materials of SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes COVID, has been detected in the blood and stool. A study published in the February issue of the journal Gut found that even in the absence of GI issues, stool samples in patients remained positive for viral infection. Evidence of viral infection in the stool was still observed even after the virus was cleared from the lungs. Now, in an effort to control outbreaks, China is turning to the test method as a more accurate way of curbing the spread of the virus. And it goes on and on and on. By the way, anal swabs have been done in this country. They were used on patients where nose and throat testing aren't options. Invasive testing may lead to lower turnout, which I think is interesting. So when that story came out, and I cited this, I told people, and I said no, and they started laughing and started giggling. I'm saying, you can laugh and giggle all you want. This is a story. This is happening. I said, no, this is a story. Oh. Because it deals with poop and things like that. People just they just like sex. They can't handle it. So I was telling people at the time, I said that the drive-through, remember when you would drive through? Remember when that COVID was fantastic, because you got to look back and you got to remember just how crazy we were at the time. And it was the greatest behavioral. Again, it's always the behavior. So I was telling people, I said, it's really tough. I said, doing the anal swabs through drive-in, I said, thank God there's that partition, but trying to get it, you got to get out of the car. And sometimes if you kind of move around, it's hard to position yourself through the window. And I was very serious when I told people about this. And some, I think, thought what I was saying. But that forever will be the greatest story. And I've always maintained that if you really want to be accurate about this, anal swabs, it's the only way to go. And I wonder how many people would say, okay. And I'll bet you there would be a series of memes. And what all that meant was, in retrospect, Americans will believe anything. Anything. There's a new trope. You'll love this one. They go to campuses. They go to college campuses. This is a new subject, but give me an idea. And they have somebody go up and they say, hey, have you ever said from the river to the sea? I most certainly have. And it's some new graduate. What river and what sea are you talking about? And they'll get somebody. Of course, they only get the people that don't know that. And they say, see, it's all bullshit. Raul Rodriguez says, if Trump is elected, what will he do first? That's a very good question, Raul. I tell you what I wish you would do. No inauguration. Just go straight to work. Just cut it out completely. Make a stand. We have it. I think one time they forewent an inauguration during, I think, FDR during World War II or something. That's the first thing he should do. Now, and thank you, by the way. During the course, Americans just fell into lockstep, and I never, ever, ever will forget. I'm saying to myself, they say, well, I've got COVID. And I say, well, you don't have COVID because you tested positive. Yeah, but and Marty McCarrick, remember him? I don't know where he is now, if they disappeared him, but he said, no, under the PCR, you might have a molecule. They might say, we found one, but you may not be at all. You may have a minimal de minimis viral load. You may not even be infectious. You may be asymptomatic. It may be nothing. But people said, no, I've got COVID. I've got COVID. And they were almost proud of it. I've got COVID. And I said, you know what COVID means? No. I remember during AIDS. Remember this? When AIDS came out, or when we heard about it, people would go and they would be tested. He goes, well, he's got AIDS. No, he doesn't have AIDS. He tested positive for the antibody. Remember this? What do you mean? No, you don't have AIDS. You tested for, you don't die of AIDS. You die of the opportunistic disease. What? You don't die of AIDS. You die of the what? I had no idea. So a friend of mine who had the PCR test, he goes, oh, I've got COVID and I am infectious. I said, well, how do you know you're infectious? Well, because I got COVID. No, you didn't get, you tested positive. That doesn't mean, and nobody bothered. It's like, don't take my fun out of this. And I realized, this is very interesting. It was almost a form of like Munchausen's. I'm sick. I've got it. Now, let me just go on the record. Let me tell you right now. There are people that I know who were absolutely. 3 individuals, husband and wife, and another one. I mean, they went to the hospital. Their oxygen levels, I mean, it was serious. So don't give me this stuff that it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. And I have friends of mine who, have you heard this one? They'll say, "Oh, but the latest one. Have you heard this one? Oh, this skin cancer thing is ridiculous. Melanomas, most people survive." Okay, all right. And some people love to either dispute everything or love to exaggerate everything. Some people, it's weird. Some people are the opposite of Munchausen's. Nothing exists. There's no cancer. That's ridiculous. Oh, cholesterol's good for you. Saturated fat is in no way connected to heart attacks. They're the opposite of Munchausen's. They're the opposite of that. Okay. That's what I realized. I remember I told you I've got these friends. They're the stupidest couple I've known. They're the most stupid couple. And they put out one time on their Facebook, "Look at us. Look, we got our little bandage. Hey, I got mine," because it was a filter, because it was a filter. I said, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" They could not care less about COVID. They wanted to be a part of the movement. They wanted to be a part of the movement. Now, let me stop right now. I want you to imagine 3 different issues here. Issue number 1, does COVID exist? Yes. It's coronavirus? Yes, absolutely. Number 2, has it been exaggerated? Yes. Number 3, has the government and others gone out of their ways to diminish, to minimize the threat? Yes. Either they just, so there's 3 different issues. Now, if you eliminate one of those, you don't eliminate the other 2. Give me an example. Is there massive and inconceivable suffering, death, destruction, famine, horror in Gaza? Yes. Do many of the folks on college campuses not have a clue as to what they're talking about? Yes. Second. Third, does that mean that there is, is Hamas important? Or yes, of course it is. Is it a terrorist organization? By definition, sure. Okay. Because terrorist doesn't really mean good or bad. It's more like the modality. It's not, anyway. So just like that. So I can eliminate, I can say, well, if it's a terrorist organization, if it's exaggerated, does that mean there's no suffering in Gaza? No. Because people, they can't critically think. So there's these tropes that go, we walked around college campuses during the graduation season and asked a number of these so-called Middle East experts what they knew about Hamas and Gaza, and they don't know anything. Therefore, what? Therefore, it's a waste of time and there's no big deal. Move along. There's no genocide or apartheid or ethnic cleansing or just why? Because these attendees at the Amherst College, whatever it is, they're basically full of shit. No, it doesn't work that way. They have nothing to do with each other. Yeah, but they proved that they lied about Wuhan. Okay, that has nothing to do with the existence of COVID. That's a different issue. This is issue analysis. This is critical thinking. That has nothing to do. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that, Fauci, they lied about mask efficacy and distances, and social distancing really was not involved in. I said, that has nothing to do with whether COVID exists or not. Nothing. During the advent of AIDS, they kept saying, oh, everybody can get it. Really? Oh, yes. Can a man get it from a woman through regular vaginal sex? A man get it from a woman or any other, if you want to think about it. Oh, yeah. Excuse me. How is that happening? Since the HIV, since the virus is found in blood products, semen in particular, are you saying that the amount of HIV which exists in, let's say, vaginal secretions, Bartholin secretions, Skene's glands, whatever you want to call it, you mean to tell me that is enough? Because this is a very fragile disease. Well, whatever. Excuse me. Are you saying a man can contract AIDS from a woman having regular sex where she's seropositive, she's positive for AIDS, and he's not? Do you have any evidence of that? Well, okay. Now, if I'm correct, and believe me, there are many, many people who suggested that, does that mean there's no such thing as AIDS? No, it's a different issue. See, this is where we are right now. We don't know anything about critical thinking. We know nothing about critical thinking in this country because we just don't. Here's one for you. I love this one. And I keep telling people, I don't care about pedophiles. I care about traffickers. I care about people who hurt children. Most of the people who traffic in children are not pedophiles or whatever. They're doing it for the money. And they will traffic in anything. Rhino horns, endangered species, anything, drugs. Pedophilia is an attraction people have sexual for children. I don't care about people who are attracted. I don't care. What do you call a rapist? Heterosexual? Good luck with that one. I said, you're calling it the wrong thing. You don't understand it. But no, once that meme is started, you're not gonna get rid of that one. We got to stop the pedophiles. I don't care about pedophiles. I don't care what people think. I don't care if they have fantasies, as some people will say, about cannibalism. It's the cannibal, actually, person who does it. See, this is where we are right now. Just before when I said, do you believe that Donald Trump? I don't care. No, this is a very important issue. This doesn't make any sense. You really think he paid $135,000 to a woman he never had sex with? Never? And he can say, I don't even know who you are. I've got details. No way. I'm not some schmuck. You're not going to just threaten me. Well, he paid off that guy who claimed to. Oh, no, they got rid of some of these people turn out to be false, like the doorman who claims, fine. You didn't pay him. You don't pay people. Anyway, people are not able to grasp, and I'm sorry to say this, the idea of critical thinking. Stand by for a second. Here's something to critically think about. One of the greatest guys in the world. We love him. We love him to death. His name is Mike Lindell. He has been absolutely steadfast. He has been gangbusters in making people comfortable with great luxuriation. And I give to you, ladies and gentlemen, our dear friend, don't forget mypillow.com, promo code Lionel. If you ever see that ad, don't use any promo code but Lionel. It's time yet again, my friends, to hail and salute our great friends at mypillow.com. And if you use promo code Lionel, you'll get a free gift. No purchase necessary. And yes, I know a free gift. It's a tautology, so sue me. But first, listen carefully. Check out their $25 extravaganzas. Premium My Pillows, Queen and King, My Pillow 2.0, My Pillow bed sheets, the lowest price ever. Sandals, slides, slippers, 6-piece towel sets, 4-pack dish towel sets. Simply and absolutely unbelievable. So go to mypillow.com/Lionel, mypillow.com, promo code Lionel, or call 800-645-4965 and watch how fast Mike Lindell answers the phone. mypillow.com, simply and absolutely the best. Dear friend, there's a group called Trump Swag. You got the Trump Rally Bronx MAGA Cruise, May the 22nd from 6 to 10 p.m. And if you are so interested, as you should, let me give this to you just for whatever it's worth, because he's worth it. He is worth it. Have you ever been on a Circle Line cruise? You ever been on that? You ever been on one of these boat trips around Manhattan? Oh my God. Oh my God. You would say, enough. I mean, you might like it, but after a while, it's like, okay, I got it. Though the Statue of Liberty, that is something when you say, oh my God, it's green. Madam Stamp says, two cannibals eating a clown. One says to the other, does this taste funny to you? Very good. By the way, Madam Stamp, how do you kill a mime? With a silencer. Oh, thank you for that. Oh, my friends. Remember, critical thinking, critical thinking, critical thinking. Ask, not acts. Acts not what your country can do. People do not understand what that is. When Ketanji Brown Jackson, who, by the way, very good. She's people will not give her any credit. She's been spot on in many cases. Absolutely. And during her, if you listen to her oral arguments or what questions she asked during her confirmation, fine. But had she said, or anybody had said, had Elena Kagan said, when I asked the question, that's it. You said axe. That's it. Thank you. She said axe. She what? She said axe. Oh, no. She said axe. Yep. And we're not talking about Lizzie Borden. A hatchet and axe. We're talking. Lose that. Simple. Learn how to hold a fork when you eat, when you cut steak. That's all I want to tell you. It's simple. Learn. Go on TV. By the way, it's a wonderful book called Tiffany's Book of Manners. Oh, my God. It's wonderful. Next, understand what we have right now. When you have this troika, these three Grimalkins going after each other, when you got MTG and AOC, and some women get very upset about this, and Jasmine Crockett, people say, you're being sexist. No, I'm not. I'm telling you right now, these people hate each other. Men will clobber each other. But this, and also remember, watch my video and my piece that I did on Diddy. Because Diddy is absolutely, he is brutal. And what he did to Cassie, just look at this. This is not somebody who's just mad. This is a guy who treats her like she's a rag doll, like she doesn't exist. Also, my friends, this is Mrs. L's YouTube channel. She's got a great piece coming up on she got her start in the music industry. And knows more about this than you can imagine. The music industry at levels of. Do you remember? Just watch her, Lynn's Warriors. Trust me. Remember during the 60s, you heard about groupies. You think that the trafficking just came about now? You don't think that women who were sent out when women, I don't care if it's a ring rats for wrestling or arena rats rather, or groupies for rock stars. This is the oldest trick in the book. Since Fatty Arbuckle, since the days of Lillian Gish and Charlie Chaplin, this has been a hotbed of some of the most depraved individuals, and it's a marketplace for trafficking. And I'm not exaggerating, dear friends. I am not in the lead. So anyway, that's for you. All right, dear friends, have a great and a glorious night. Thank you so much. And by the way, to our great friends, to Madam Stamp, to Raul Rodriguez and Brad Runge, or Runge, or Runge, thank you so much for you and yours. I appreciate it immensely. Remember, sign up. And by the way, Lionel members of the, there's a beautiful little piece, a wonderful little documentary, so to speak, on America's favorite mayor, super mayor, Tiffany A. Henard, not B, not C, A. Henard, who is my favorite politician, bar none. Because it's stupidity, ignorance, and corruption and sociopathy all rolled up into one, and it is just brilliant. All right, dear friends, have a great and a glorious day. Thank you so much for everything. See you tonight. Don't forget, sign up. Subscribe, Lionel Nation. Got more videos coming up today. So whatever you do, remember the monkey's dead. This show's over. Sue you. Ta-ta.